As you know, I have pounded this very table for an 18 playoff for weeks, months, nay, years. And everybody's saying the blowouts in the national semifinal games this week is testament to the fact that we don't need more teams. As a matter of fact, you, Brockman, you're a guy who'd like the BCS, right?
I think the BCS always got it right. The two best teams always played for the title.
Okay. And you are a guy who's saying these blowouts this week means we don't need more teams, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So while you were gallivanting in Iceland with your beautiful girlfriend, I was watching the game. Were you back in time for the game? Did you see the game?
I watched Alabama.
Okay, very good. At the very end of the blowout between Clemson and Notre Dame, my condolences, two salutes, sir, over there, okay? Sean McDonough and Todd Blackledge killing time. 5 minutes to go.
Sure, 30-3.
Killing time talking about how Clemson almost didn't even make the Final Four because of their scare against your alma mater, Syracuse.
Sure.
And how had Syracuse beaten them, they might not have even made the Final Four. And here we are watching a team that's destroying an undefeated Notre Dame. Had they lost to Syracuse, they might not have even made the Final Four. And I'm thinking, that's my point. That's my point. If we have a system that would keep a team like Clemson out because they would have lost to a viable threat in Syracuse, then there's something wrong with this system. And who is the team that maybe didn't make the Final Four because they lost a game like that? Oh, Georgia. And in Ohio State losing to Purdue, guess what? These things happen. On NFL Network, the tremendous series about the Super Bowl champions, America's game. The Super Bowl champ, the best in the NFL of all time, have their 1 hour documentary sitting down talking about the journey. In every single journey, there's losses. There are speed bumps in the road. There's doubt. That's what makes these Super Bowl journeys so great. Every championship team has these losses. The college football situation that we have living in, if you're not undefeated, you're not worth it. You're useless. And that was what was wrong with the BCS. Only undefeated teams may apply. And right now, in the foursome that we put up there, an undefeated team like Notre Dame might not be as good as Georgia or Ohio State, but in the current construct, deserve to make it over both of those teams. 8 teams. There's no reason why a team like Ohio State or Georgia could have gone on to win a first-round quarterfinal game to make a national semifinal and give a better game to Clemson or Alabama, as they would have if they maybe had made the Final Four, but they didn't deserve to make the Final Four over Oklahoma and Notre Dame because that's the way it's set up. And sure, we might see a blowout in the quarterfinal game. I'd rather see it there than the national semifinal. I'll tell you that. That's my 2 cents on what I saw this weekend and what I thought about. Okay? Should Ohio State lost to Purdue like that? Of course not. Of course not. But should that keep them out of the running of a national championship? When their resume is put up against Oklahoma's and all this stuff? 8 teams. And none of this is about my own personal bias. None of it. Because when I gave you the 8 teams that I thought should have made it this year, my alma mater got bounced because they had 2 losses. They lost to Notre Dame and they lost to Ohio State. That's disqualifying when you're putting in 8 teams where 5 of them are winners of the Big 5 conferences and 3 at-larges. And UCF might have given Alabama a far worse game than Oklahoma. But let me see it. I would have sat down and watched all that than any of these other garbage bowls. The Cheez-It Bowl? Are you freaking kidding me? That gives
Red Box Bowl tonight, guys.
Okay. All right.
I hear you, and that's a great point. I'm more with, let's get people on this committee who watch the games. Like, we're just throwing Notre Dame in because they have a 0 there. But if you watch them play, do you think they could beat Georgia? No. Could they beat Ohio State? No, probably not. Let's get the committee made up of people, probably media members, who watch and cover these games and know who's playing well and know who the actual best 4 teams are.
You know what? That's an improvement. But make it 8 teams so a team like Ohio State can finish strong despite losing to Purdue on the road. These things happen in conference. It shouldn't be disqualifying.
Yeah, it's an oblong
for
ball.
all
It's
of
going
it.
to take weird bounces,
Right.
and you're going to lose some games. It happens.
And losing to Syracuse in the long run
Would have looked great. 'Cause
I know.
They won 10 games.
but it almost disqualified one of the teams that destroyed another on the national semifinal stage. And people are sitting here saying, well, that's why we shouldn't have 8 teams. And my point is that's exactly why we should.
But if you watched Alabama and Clemson play all year, you can't dispute that they're the 2 best teams. Yeah, they're playing for a fourth straight year, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
We'll talk about it with Bruce Feldman. What say you? 844-204-RICH. When we come back, the floor is yours. The time's yours to say, as Andy Reid would say.
Man, we needed that rap song with Little Dicky.
Well, yeah. Andy Reid, the time's yours. We had Little Dicky on the show. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
We told he's a big Philly fan. I'm like, let's come up with a rap for Andy Reid called "The Time's Yours." Been
It
fantastic.
would have been great.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.